they've been just great. I mean, my entire channel is dedicated to documenting the awesomeness that we are living in and just how much freedom we have. I'm not gonna lie to you and pretend things were great. Literally all my life, Egypt has been on the ass end of the spectrum as a country, but things have never, and I do mean never, not even under occupation, gotten as horrendous as they are now. And they're getting even worse day by day. I'll be covering in this video the economy, inevitable famine, freedom, or well, lack thereof, the systematic dismantling of our history and identity against our will, all for a few quick bucks that we never get a penny of, and more. Let's start with the economy, or what's left of the economy. I would like to know what is El-Sisi's plan as a candidate to end the economical crisis that President El-Sisi has caused, because we can't figure out our lives with these prices that don't sit still for even 2 days. Our life is unstable. What will you do?
Sleep. The plan
is Igawala.
What?
Igawala!
The official exchange rate for EGP is around 31 for a dollar.
The propaganda number.
But I've stated before in other videos, nothing is priced accordingly except the government-owned exchange offices if you're giving them dollars, so they literally turn up a profit from thin air. The true basis for pricing now is the black market, which says it's 50 Egyptian pounds per dollar, nearly double the official rate. Just to contextualize how fast we have fallen from grace, when things were at their lowest under Mubarak, the EGP was at 6 per dollar. Morsi himself only managed to get it to like 8, which is hilarious considering that the Brotherhood is the regime's favorite scarecrow, and they often compare things to how they were under Morsi, as if he was some sort of standard. I mean, when your standard is the back then worst president to rule, and you still fail so laughably hard to meet that standard, I mean, what does that tell us? They were telling us, well, under Morsi power cut a lot. And now it cuts even more frequently, and when it is on, it's often too weak to run demanding appliances, either resulting in them not working or just outright frying them. Damn near everyone here has lost at least one device to electricity, ranging from small kitchen appliances all the way to a fucking AC. And good luck suing anyone for that, of course. And the other argument they would make is, well, under Morsi there was a fuel crisis. Currently, most fuel in Egypt costs at least 3 times what it did back then, and it is tampered with. I've read stories about car filters being blocked and Mercedes recalling a bunch of cars from Egypt due to their cars' engines dying while in warranty from tampered fuel before they just shut down in Egypt altogether, along with a bunch of other international brands and not just car brands. So in the previous chapter I mentioned a ton of proverbial duct tape that is holding the EGP at 31 per dollar. Part of this is the prevention of any dollars leaving the country in any way, shape or form. Outgoing transactions are straight up prohibited now, even on credit cards. And before they were banned, they were of course chipped away at. Please know that in case of paying by a Visa card, an additional 1.5% will be added to the transferred amount, which is the percentage that is deducted through the bank as banking expenses. Another similar thing that was decided was a disgustingly low cap on external debit transactions. Something like, what, $200 max a month? I mean, $200 here is plenty. But the retards forgot one teeny-weeny important detail. Money being sent outside will not be used here. Who'd have thought? So if your son is studying abroad or something and you wanted to send him money, that's all you're allowed to do through banks, and obviously they also get cuts from all that, as usual. Adaptive as ever, Egyptians figured out a way around this. Kind of. Egyptians are working in trade now. To pay for their kids' tuition abroad or pay for tests outside of Egypt, they look for someone living abroad who wants to pay a rent in Egypt or a car license or anything, who gives that sum to their son outside or pays for the test for him. This is probably the lowest period people have lived here. Truly. I mean, just imagine working hard, earning money legitimately, being taxed to fucking hell every single step of the way wherever you go, only to have such inhumane restrictions exacted on you. I mean, our banking has been ass ever since His Majesty set foot in office. He appointed some random dumb cunt as administrator of the central bank and banned online work straight up. For some reason, essentially stopping the inflow of dollars that the state had to pay literally nothing for, got taxed out of, and eventually would entirely get back into their pockets, because dollars have to be exchanged for EGP in order to be used here. We don't deal with dollars locally or euros or whatever. Additionally, within recent months, they also shut off external payments, meaning any digital marketer using Facebook ads or any similar service is now out of a job. As if the censorship wasn't bad enough. I mean, damn near all means of making or handling money online online are either unavailable or straight up banned. Patreon, GoFundMe, a bunch of freelancing websites, Rumble, N26, you fucking name it. Moving on to potential famine and general poverty, food prices are obviously on a constant uprise. It even makes news now. Juhaina Company for Food Productions announces an increase in its dairy products prices in markets starting from the 1st of September to set the price of 1 liter package of milk at 38 EGP for the consumer. A woman wrote a beautiful positive post about saving. She now gets cheese and milk unprocessed from downtown. She stopped all cheeses except white. Expensive fruits like mango are once per season, and the very expensive ones like cherries are forfeited completely, and a few other things. The comment is beautiful and positive, and the people are cheering her. This comment made me cry. I always think of the kids. My heart aches from the thought of a child's body not developing properly from the reduction of protein, for example, or them being deprived of proper nutrition because of financial circumstances. True, and I can't write this because what is she supposed to do? I honestly don't see anything beautiful about people getting poor. This is scary and very stressful. I think of the kids and I lose my nerves. And I think of the issues that happen in homes because of the economic situation, and I also lose my nerves, and I wish ill upon everyone who led the Egyptians to this shit. May God deal with them. The basics of life are now savings. In average hotels in Egypt, $120 to $180 per night. You find in the open buffet meats, chicken, duck, shrimp, but you rarely find in the breakfast buffet natural white or yellow cheese. It's all plant fat analogs. Nobody is talking about this miracle that white cheese is now more expensive than shrimp because His Majesty has destroyed livestock. Today I was fixing something at the shoemaker. People are bringing kids shoes that are literal rags and school bags to fix them. And I'm not talking about simple people, I'm talking about people from our class. My heart was wrenched. Sad that even normal food and fruit a lot of people can't have. Anyone else notice that the grain in brown bread is rough, or is that just bakeries near me? Oh yeah, not only are things more expensive now, they are also exponentially worse than they were before, which was already bad. Some shithead barged in suggesting that it's these women's fault for not relying on themselves for food, and essentially describes a farm lifestyle as if it's the holy grail of lifestyle. This is wrong. Thank God our grandmas have died and didn't see their grandkids crying over food. The Egyptian woman used to raise birds, bake, make grease and butter. The Egyptian woman was a goods factory and never let her house feel any shortage or lack. Shame on you, daughters of ISIS. The goddess, not the terrorist organization, in case you were wondering. Maybe your purpose is to mock, blame and wail, etc. Maybe.
Shut the fuck up!
Seriously, people like this are the reason Fallah is an insult here and will continue to be so. It translates to farmer or peasant, but in context of an insult it means a backwards, ignorant, bigoted, etc. person. It's a very broad spectrum word. Anyway, this Fallah gets his ass grilled. Wrong indeed. The descendants of ISIS shouldn't be sad over food or be concerned about food prices, but what can we do? How come you don't have a buffalo at home to get milk from that is 36 EGP per kilo? And why don't you bake bread at home, which costs more than just going and getting it from the bakery? You can't be the descendants of ISIS. God give me patience. Yes, he's right. Women back in the day were true women, unlike these days. They raised birds and eggs were always available for them, and if they wanted meat and there was no money, she would cut from her thighs, no problem, so her husband and her kids can fucking eat. But women now are complaining because they can't get a piece of cheese for their families. A mockery. I think and hope this is sarcasm, otherwise it'd be a very bold statement to make as someone with an anime profile pic. He's building palaces where our kids can't have a glass of milk and an egg, the simplest rights for a child. A kilo of milk today is 38 pounds and an egg is 4.5 and a loaf of bread is 2 pounds. Who can provide all this now? I went to get a notebook to collect my thoughts instead of the notes scattered around me. After running around stationaries and learning about the prices, I decided to get one of those small notebooks used in schools. Why is this normal 80-sheet notebook that isn't even as good as they used to be approaching 20 AGP? God help anyone who has kids in school. The beginning of school season this year has been financial hell for all parents. Anyone who's had savings has drained them for it and just to stay afloat. So now by next academic year, if nothing has changed, we'll be seeing some bad things, I predict. And now, cars. Cars are an interesting type of goods because we don't manufacture shit here, obviously, we just assemble imported parts. And you know, the magic word import summons the taxation demon.
I smell pennies!
And with inflation and tax rates going up constantly, but wages and pensions not budging a penny, you can imagine how it is now on the market. The Lancer is now 240k Egyptian pounds. That some used to buy an Audi Passat. Audi, Mercedes, BMW, Renault, and a bunch of other European brands are considered the cars of the elite here. So to see the former price of one plastered on a Mitsubishi Lancer, which is like the common car here and used to be cheap as fuck, tells you just how far shit has dropped. The teeny weeny Picanto is now 160,000. I say the International Bank should give us the next loan in Picantos. The garbage Verna is now 125k and the automatic one is 142k. And an Elantra has crossed 200k. You get the idea. Hardly anyone can afford new cars now. Few can afford used cars, and even fewer can afford proper upkeep and maintenance of their already owned cars. Not to mention fuel, of course. But that isn't all. We are witnessing a gradual, accelerating shortage in stuff. Essential stuff, like let's say, fuel and wheat. And funnily enough, those two things we have already exported or still are, while importing them from elsewhere to fill the gap, which have you maybe considered not selling what you already had instead of this bullshit? The General Authority for Supply Commodities, the governmental purchaser of grains in Egypt, has stated that it has bought 240,000 tons of wheat today, Wednesday. 120,000 tons of wheat from France and the same amount from Romania. Earlier in 2023 and 2022, His Majesty literally sold all of our strategic reserves of wheat during a global shortage of all times that was caused by the bullshit in Ukraine. And we all said it was a bad idea, but here we are. This time, he was able to bail the country out. But what about next time? Can we guarantee there will be money in the country to import enough? Can we even guarantee there will be someone willing to sell to us? Wheat is a crucial good for Egypt. You fuck with it, you fuck everything up. But words fall on deaf ears. Short-term profits are all these greedy bastards see, killing the golden goose instead of getting a free golden egg every day. Oh, and he also sold off all of our onions. We had a weird couple of months where onion prices were like tripled what they used to be overnight, and it hasn't come back down since. Well, that's what I meant when I said he exports onions. We'll touch on why this is fire later. Another retarded thing that's happening is import restrictions. Today, the financial group EG Food for food productions has taken action to raise prices. The financial group GSF for food productions has taken action to raise prices. Who's the cause, kids? Merchant greed? No, the reason is the goods that are stuck on ports waiting to be released and are having huge holding space fees paid for them daily. Oh yeah, merchant greed is also commonly used as a scapegoat for spiraling prices. Straw man, if you will. While that used to hold some validity before His Majesty showed up, now the merchants are just as desperate as the consumers to keep a steady price, but simply can't. By the way, through my experience anyway, merchants and providers are actually trying to avoid price increases or at least slow it down, but things, let's call it things, are not letting them. Warehouses are empty, there are no new shipments coming, and they don't know if it does come, when will that be and how much will it cost. And they know that if there were any more increases in prices, they'll be stuck with their goods and nobody will buy, making things worse. Exactly, I have a close friend and there is no business between us. He showed me all his work accounts. His profit margin is very small and he says what's important is that he survives until the crisis passes, because if he increases the prices a little more, his sales rate will go down and he'd lose even more. People want to work, seriously, and to sell and have money circulating in the market, but things are not letting them fix prices to be able to sell. As for fuel, well, they are selling electricity generated on Egyptian land by Egyptian stations to the Emirates at 1/3 of the price the Egyptians are charged for power, all the while carrying out load shedding to save power. And if that wasn't bad enough, the stations are run on diesel instead of gas because there's an actual shortage of that, which means the stations are running less efficiently and being worn out faster. The stations that we went into debt to build might be destroyed before they're even fully paid off at this rate. Oh, and of course, the load shedding doesn't include government locations and propaganda as discussed in a previous video. Going back to food, the government and His Majesty himself at some point finally seemed to notice how hardly anybody can afford meat anymore at all, let alone on a regular basis like it was just a few years ago. And they came up with a solution.
Please, I'm begging you.
The National Institution of Nutrition highlights the benefits of eating chicken legs. A kilo is only 10 Egyptian pounds and high nutritional value. And a bunch of news networks went on about this for a while, publishing the statement and recipes for chicken legs, seeming to hope that this will satisfy the people somehow. Some even took it a step further and started pointing at other non-food items like cricket.
请示，请示，
شو مين ده صرصار؟ صرصار؟
请示，
اكل ايه؟ ده عندنا بيضربوه بالشبشب.
كويلا تبي هانا.
يعني ايه اكل صراصير ليه انا؟
لا حضرتك اصل انا باكل دبان ما باكلش صراصير. ما انا ما بشرح لحضرتك.
كل.
And get this, ant milk.
Nice argument, Senator. Why don't you back it up with a source?
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
Good. 5 more left. Watch it, watch it, watch it. There we go. Come on. Very nice.
Yeah. Just keep on.
That was nice.
Naturally, when people can't afford basics like food, crime starts to go up. A phenomenon appears where food trucks would get robbed while they are driving.
يا حرامية بص خلاص شكرا البلد دي كده حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل. يا نهار ازرق. لا حول ولا قوة الا بالله.
حرام يا جدعان. بص بحر بطاطس قدام.
photos are of a truck loaded with potatoes headed to El Abul market. People attacked and robbed it so they can eat, and what fell on the ground, poor people came and picked it off the ground, the aftermath of which is shown here. And while they did arrest a gang who allegedly were the ones doing this, I'm certain there are others and that this will still happen. Or if not, will start happening again and probably more frequently, seeing where things are headed. Someone pointed out a glaring similarity between this and a scene from a movie that was published all the way back in 2009, where things were starting to look bad under Mubarak. I guess it was a prophecy, just came a little too early. Another crucial thing that is in shortage is medicine and medical equipment. Many local producers went out of business due to production stalls as they simply have no raw materials to work with, thanks to the fucking import restrictions His Majesty has in action. Quite literally, every month or so, my family, and I personally, notice a new thing that we usually keep at home is now missing. First it was highly specific stuff, but now as the end draws closer, more commonly needed things are disappearing, like bug bite treatment, burn treatments, even over-the-counter painkillers sometimes are out of stock. And this is on a household scale. Can you imagine now how hospitals and clinics are doing? I sure can. I was so sad to see this young man go, leaving behind a young wife and 2 kids. He was injured in his head, so locals took him quickly to get help in Naga Hammadi Hospital, where they refused to take him in, claiming there were no means to treat him, and told them to take him quickly to Inna General Hospital, around 60 kilometers away. At Inna Hospital, they also refused to aid him with the claim there were no means to help him, and they left him from 10 p.m. until 9 a.m. the next day without any aid, then transferred him to Inna University Hospital, where he passed away. Isn't leaving the man without medical intervention from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. considered murder or assistance in murder? Who bears responsibility for the tragedy and its consequences and its bad effect on the image of the country and people's mind? So yeah, a perfectly curable injury ended up as a fatality. This is of course just one case. There's an uncountable number of others out there. And if you recall my video about when my cat got sick, this was already in action about like 3 months ago, maybe more. Amidst spiraling living costs, increasing poverty, and just general disarray, the quote-unquote development did not stop, of course, with green spaces being continuously razed down and replaced with hideous concrete and tarmac monstrosities. This was posted by Ahmed Abdelkader, the player from El Ahli Club from Austria. It says, "I pray my passport gets lost." Bro saw what actual green space looks like, not the abomination in the new admin city, and he lost his shit. And boy oh boy are there so many of these hobby projects all over the country. So much in fact that there's an entire community on social media dedicated to documenting and criticizing it called Amal Kharaiya, or city work. Definitely go check them out. They're out here doing God's work. Aside from personal hobby projects of military individuals, the greater projects are also not on hold. After all, who the fuck needs food and water anyway? Yes, water is also in danger, but we'll get to that. When you got a monorail, a form of public transit that you cannot afford, and the ones who can afford it don't need it since they have cars. The administrative capital, of course, is also still in the making, funded from our own money, obviously not His Majesty's. And the cherry on top, they're making a nuclear power plant. And it has been given the green light by the Authority of Nuclear and Radiation Supervision. Nuclear power is actually really safe, contrary to popular belief propagated by media and shit like Chernobyl and Fukushima, but in both of those cases, the problem, which was completely preventable, was caused by retards. Something we have a vast abundance of, but you know...
Patrol in
Egypt
almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
So I'm game, but my favorite and most ridiculous one has to be the El Galala Gondola lift, the bullshit project to rule them all. This is yet another instance of someone somewhere did something that looks cool, so let's copy it. After all, His Majesty has said verbatim, we don't have time for benefit studies, we just do stuff. And do stuff they sure have.
take you to the desert.
When pressed as to why we are falling apart so badly and rapidly, His Majesty and many officials have blamed the decline on population growth. His Majesty said that it is impossible to make decent education under this huge number of inhabitants and low resources. At the International Conference for Citizens and Health 2023, while the health minister has been quoted in the same conference saying population growth hinders development efforts and devours all of the country's income. And the head of the National Council for Human Rights, Mushira Khattab, said population growth at its current rate is a glaring violation of human rights and a burden on public services, which, you know, is totally fair. It's not the bullshit projects that cost billions of dollars which were built on debt, the majority of which slipped into private pockets, that are ruining things. It's definitely those pesky people with their demands for basic rights like food, water, and education, and whatever the fuck else they audaciously calling for. Jokes aside, I don't even need to pull up evidence to debunk this straw man, but you know what? I will, because someone conveniently did it for me already. It's the facts, CC. Population growth is not the cause of what we're in. These are numbers from the Center of General Mobilization and Statistics, which is the government entity tasked with publishing facts, headed by the respectable Major General Khairat Barakat. Did you know, CC, that the population growth rates during your years in office were as follows? 2014, the rate was 2.47%. 2015, it went down to 2.33%. 2016, 2.2%, 2017 2.11, 2018 1.87, 2019 1.75, 2020 1.56, 2021 1.38. Of course, the reason is reduction in marriage and inability of married people to get children like before due to the horrible state we're in. So if population growth was the cause, like you're all saying, we would have been doing better than in 2014. Egypt is currently number 56 worldwide in terms of population growth, according to the United Nations, which means that there are 55 countries, yes, I promise, 55 whole countries with a higher growth rate than us. Why aren't any of them complaining about population growth? Because it's a good thing. And let me tell you why it's a good thing. Pay attention for a little and you'll know. In countries that lack natural resources, the human resources are the most valuable. Japan, for example, doesn't have any resources at all except 125 million citizens who work and produce and make their country a great nation. China's forced population control experiment, the one-child policy, failed miserably. After one generation, they realized that society became old, which pushed them to encourage reproduction so that society can be young and able to work again. They even give incentives for having children now. Many countries in the world encourage population growth, like Turkey, 85 million inhabitants, that gave citizenships to 1 million Syrians and gives its citizenship to anyone who buys an apartment in Turkey, in addition to giving incentives to women who have more than 3 kids. Now, I'm with you that having too many people is a problem, but Egypt isn't there yet. Under proper administration, we would be doing a lot better. People would be better educated and qualified, but, you know, pipe dreams is all that is. The only form of population problems Egypt has is how unevenly it's distributed, with nearly 1/5 of the whole population stuffed in Cairo alone. And that is due to how disgustingly centralized everything is to Cairo, and could have been easily remedied before it even got to this point. And it still could be remedied if there was will to solve it. And since the population is the problem, naturally there was the idea to sell them. President El-Sisi, there is an opportunity to organize legal immigration to countries that suffer a low birth rate, being a chance to use an existing workforce to generate income. Personally, I'd be down, but I don't trust anything that comes from the government.
We're with the government, for goodness sake. Have a little faith in us.
This government in particular. For all I know, this project could have been actually selling people to work as slaves in Dubai or some other shit. Or hell, maybe even dismantling them and selling them as organs. Who knows? Our current administration is following the opposite philosophy of reject modernity, embrace tradition, which, you know me, I'm all for progress, but I have 2 issues with this approach. The first we've already discussed, it's that it isn't actual development, and the second is that they are systematically erasing all of Egypt's history and monuments to make way for more bullshit projects and bridges. I've talked about this already, and guess what? It has only gotten worse since. The remains have been transported from Abd al-Qadir Pasha's tomb in preparation for its demolition. Is this not a monument? The stones in this are older than some countries. It is past them owning everything. They are now stripping you of everything, even trees and historic sites that one has always dreamed of visiting and seeing. The one thing we at least brag about. I swear to God, if they treat us like slaves, it wouldn't be like this. This is as if we don't even exist to them. Here you can see the excavator fork about to tear into this ancient building. Here is a sarcastic letter I randomly found a screenshot of. I don't remember from where, but it's too funny to leave out, honestly. Dear Mr. Head of the Administration Council of the National Authority of Removing Useless Things, as one of the honorable sons of our homeland, I present to you my sincerest thanks and congratulations for the noble work you are doing by removing old buildings that the ignorant element called monumental, which are nothing but architectural structures that are foreign to our modern age, and I doubt it was built with a license from the respective district. I would like to take this opportunity to inform you about the presence of 3 tombs near Nazlet al-Simman area that are taking up a lot of space, over 10 acres, and each tomb is dedicated to one person, and this person they didn't even find the body of. The tombs are credited to strange names, Khofu, Khafra, and Mankawa. So I implore you to remove these violations and use this vast space to build housing for the Egyptians that are unable to find housing, and make a network of roads and bridges that serve the new district. As I wish, along with all honored citizens, to remove this weird giant idol, you can't even tell if it's a man or lion or a goat, that they named the Sphinx, and maybe in this huge space, where the so-called Sphinx is, make an open-air shopping mall or a big chill-out area. Our government and His Majesty only acknowledge pharaonic monuments. Everything else is just old buildings, and you even have some morons cheering for it among the ignorant masses, because Egypt was definitely nothing but pharaonic. Like, we went from the late age directly to the British occupation. There wasn't an entire fucking millennium and a half in between that left various kinds of artifacts and heritage. With immense sorrow, I learned today that a priceless treasure has gone with all its contents to an Emirati investor, the House of Zainab Khatoon. Oh, speaking of Emirati investors, in addition to buying dirt cheap electricity from us, as previously mentioned, they're also buying off numerous facilities and locations on our land, this being just one. Abu Dhabi stealing the Arabs' heritage to make a fake civilization. Abu Dhabi is trying to create a monumental and touristic history by stealing artifacts from countries of civilization. Pharaonic artifacts are stolen entirely from Egypt, and the pharaohs didn't settle in the Arab Gulf. The dragon's blood tree is from Yemen, and Abu Dhabi stole it from Socotra. On the topic of stolen pharaonic monuments, someone pointed out a totally not suspicious pattern here. 17/6/2017, Sisi appointed himself as chairman of board of trustees of the Egyptian Museum. 19/6/2017, cameras are banned inside storage areas to protect artifacts from theft. 28/7/2017, the power cuts from Cairo International Airport for unknown reasons. 16/8/2017, the Ministry of Artifacts reports the disappearances of 33,000 pieces from the Egyptian Museum. 18/9/2017, the Emirates open up a Louvre and exhibit rare Egyptian pieces. The question is, have you, the citizen, noticed anything? Now, we have always known our shit gets sold off under the table. Like, come on bro, it's so obvious. Mubarak's wife was doing it, and now Sisi's wife took the torch. Why else do you think both of them would frequently visit the dusty little town that is Luxor City? There is next to nothing to see there except pharaonic stuff, and no administration concerns either that call for such visits. The writing is on the wall here. For $625 million, the Emirati Global takes over 30% of shares of El Sharqiyya Smokes. UAE isn't the only buyer of our land and resources though. His Majesty is currently desperate for money that he sells anything to anyone willing to buy, with a name your price policy, it seems. Signing of documents that assign and allow the land to erect a project to generate wind power west of Suhag with power of 3 gigawatts, undertaken by an alliance of companies, Orascom Constructions, NG, French, and Toyota Tsusho, Japanese, as well as signing of a document to allow the land of West Suhag for the Saudi Aqua Power to build a wind power station with 10 gigawatt power. Why these projects are not done by us for our own benefit, you ask? I told you, the golden rule is short-term profit. Why invest into something when you can just sell shit and get money right now? These people are too stupid to invest in anything that lasts longer than a week. Offer them a penny now or a dime a week from now, they'd opt for the penny without a second thought. Besides, why build useful shit that looks lame?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
When you can build sparkly, fancy looking shit that doesn't necessarily do anything. I mean, looks above all, yo. You forget? It's not just a coincidence or lack of planning. These are studies and plans done and being executed that cost billions. Demolition of the graves of Al-Makrizi and Ibn Khaldun, destruction of the grave of Zaki al-Muhandis, member of the Arabic Language Academy, the tomb of Mahmoud Sami al-Barudi, and the poet Prince Ahmad Shawqi, moving the Book Authority and the House of Books and Documents, building restaurants and cafes over the grave of Merit Basha from the Egyptian Museum. This is not poor planning, this is an organized crime and a thought-out plan to destroy heritage and erase identity. For how long would the culprits stay unpunished? The destruction of the visual memory of the Egyptian people and building ugly concrete cities is not just a mistake and bad design. No, it's a plan being executed to erase the national identity. While this sounds tinfoily, if you think about it, it makes sense. After all, the system, like all tyrants, dictatorships, and even corporations, is terrified at the thought of the people uniting, which is why they fought so hard to divide the people time and time again within our recent history. Man versus woman, Christian versus Muslim, rich versus poor, anything but us versus them. So much that they resisted the boycott movements people are uniting under right now in support of Gaza. Anything that unites people has them pissing their pants in fear of the people realizing they in fact hold power. They're just not able to focus it in the right direction, like a fucking death ray, like they should. The government did attempt to gaslight us about it, but it seems they don't really even really care anymore, because the people never do anything about it anyway. Madbouli, Prime Minister, the government pays a lot of attention to maintaining monuments. There isn't one monument being demolished. What's happening is development for districts and maintenance for Islamic artifacts. As for the tombs of Imam Shafi'i, it is being subjected to natural destruction. And the government is aiming to erect a collective tomb to include the remains of influential people in Egyptian history, which saves these graves from the effects of subterranean water. And nobody criticizes this except out of spite. Gamal Abdelrahim, professor of archaeology in Cairo University. Ah yes, college professors. The one class I, and many other people of my age, despise the most in Egypt. I mean, if a professor of archaeology produces such mental diarrhea, you can start to see why our education isn't doing too hot. Someone with a functioning brain and conscience actually quit over this. Look at the foreigners' astonishment when they ask, are those people in Egypt now really the ancestors of the builders of such a great civilization? The Germans are among the most enthusiastic people about Egyptology, and yet their impression is very negative about our current reality. Look at education, research. You'll see that those who excelled, of which there is many, did so by individual efforts. Honestly, Paris Syndrome should be renamed Egypt Syndrome. The deviation between expectation and reality is far more devastating here, I reckon. As a wise man once said, we are no longer the land of the pharaohs. It was me, I'm a wise man. We are tearing down heritage and history, and there is no respect for monuments, nor do we have a national project to invest in people, education, and culture. The ancient Egyptian civilization is great, but where are your current contributions to the world? No Italian or Greek is yapping day and night about being the son of a great civilization. They're sons of today. This last part is in reference to people who, when out of options, resort to at least I have history. Which, like, yeah, you do, but that don't mean shit in our current situation. And also you learn nothing from it, so it might as well not even be there.